All right, let's ride. You're watching NBA Now by Chat Sports. Chase Senior here with you. Today's show presented to you by our friends at Aura, the all-in-one digital safety tool. Right now, you can get a free 14-day free trial if you plug in that link, aura.com/chatsports. We'll get that in the comment section as well as the description of this video. As for what we're talking about today, Chet Holmgren really impressed in his NBA Summer League debut in Utah. We'll talk about that performance. Is Keegan Murray a sleeper draft pick for the Sacramento Kings? We'll get you caught up on everything going down on the Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Deandre Ayton front in NBA free agency, and we'll hit on all of the latest NBA news and rumors. First, though, it's all about you, the homies, the subscribers, the people. Where are you watching from? Let us know in the comment section right now. We are emanating live from the Chat Sports Studios in Dallas, Texas. As I said, I'm Chase Senior, producer Coop on the ones and twos, making everything that we're doing all throughout the day possible for all of you to enjoy. So shout out where you're watching from. We'll give you some shout outs here in the comment section. Let us know where you're tuned in from, because we know here at Chat Sports, we know people are tuned in from all across the globe. NBA highlights, Louisiana, Echo, Arizona, Brandon Roan, USA. Chicago from Face, England from Tash, Russia from Toxic, The Mitten, Go Pistons from Spencer, South Carolina, Goose Creek, Arizona, Vermont, Miami, Chicago, New Jersey, Louisiana, Arizona, Toronto, Canada, Pennsylvania from Cat, that's where I'm from, Westchester, 610, what up? New Jersey from Danny A, Texas, HTB's retweeter, Montana from Wade to Hood, NBA highlights tuned in from either Louisiana or Los Angeles, and we know Richard Lee, he's always rocking and rolling with us from Dallas. So if you saw Chet Holmgren last night, in his NBA Summer League debut, he played really well. We'll talk about that more further coming up just around the corner. In the meantime, grade his Summer League debut, A, B, C, D, or F. How do you think he did? I thought he was really impressive. First quarter, he came out guns a-blazing. He was inserting his dominance on both ends of the floor. We know it's NBA Summer League. I know that I'm not going to go overboard with my criticism or my praise for Chet Holmgren. He was dicing up Taco Fall, okay? We'll see what he can do against Anthony Davis, Joel Embiid, the Joker, and a couple of other really good big men across the league who are a lot bigger than Chet. But got his professional career started in impressive fashion. David Jenkins, A. Chance Williams, B. Rumpel, A. NBA, A. Way Up, A. Unk, F. Come on now, that's just mean. And I had him number 7 on my big board. Baybar's Hand, B+, A+ from Brandon. Joey Page, B. A from Tunchi. Shout out to Lil Wayne, Wheezy. Toxic World, B. Tazzy, A. Colin Reed, A. Clayton, A. The Bunker Hill Boys, B. I see Evan Henders putting in a trade idea. Taco Fall needs to redeem himself in the rematch from Jazzy G. Yeah, it was all Chet Holmgren over Taco Fall last night. Your way too early MVP for next year. Who is it going to be? Can't wait for this upcoming season. I understand we're months away from the NBA season officially getting started in the fall, but the level of talent, the premier talent, the superstars in this league, and a lot of the emerging young players, very intriguing. Who wins MVP? Let me know right now. Senny, he's calling Chet the white KD. 1 on my big board from Richard Lee. If he ends up being the best player, then credit to you, Richard Lee. The body just terrifies me. Ja from NBA highlights. Joel Embiid from Sebastian Hughes. Zach LaVine from Evan Henders. Darius Garland after he got paid from Rumpel. Tatum from Toxic. I like that. The Process, Mr. Awesome Guy. AD needs to step up to win MVP from Bunker Hill Boys, no doubt. Luka Doncic after he slimmed down. You see the biceps on Luka? You see the biceps on your boy right here? Let's go. Luka, he's in fine shape, looking pretty good for Team Slovenia. Anthony Davis from Junior. Dame MVP from Tazzy. Giannis from Bay Bars. It's probably going to be one of the players who we just talked about. Name a player you want your team to sign. Yes, it's still NBA free agency. We're about a week in now to NBA free agency, and a lot of the big name players off the board. A couple of notable names still left. Dennis Schroeder, Montrezl Harrell. We'll see what happens with Miles Bridges, DeAndre Ayton. James Harden has not signed with the Philadelphia 76ers, so not sure what the stall in negotiations is there. Did meet with Sixers ownership in the Hamptons over the weekend after a who's who of celebrities was on hand for Michael Rubin's all-white party. Literally every celebrity was there. I was actually pretty impressed that many high-end celebrities were in attendance at one single party. From Kendall Jenner to Drake, Jason Tatum, Joel Embiid, the list goes on and on and on. You literally can't name all of the celebrities who were there. A lot of money in the cribbo. Who will be in the 2022-2023 NBA Finals? We asked you this yesterday, but not everybody was tuned in. So who do you think is going to win and compete for the championship? Who do you think is going to be runner-up? Let us know in the comment section right now. Grizzlies' Thomas Bryant. He signed with the Los Angeles Lakers, Chance, so he's off the board now. Jamie Garcia, KD to Chicago. Ayton to Chicago. Not going to happen, though. Maybe a sign and trade. You'd have to get rid of Vooch. Rashard Lee, Tom Downey. He ain't here. Did you watch Luka against my Sweden from Hopi? I've seen some of the highlights, and I've seen some of the pictures of Luka looking a little bit slimmed down. Warriors versus Celtics from Brandon. Minnesota winning the title from King Littleman. Let me ask you this, Little Man. And that's your username. I'm not actually calling you Little Man. I got respect for you for tuning into the show. Are Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns going to be able to finish games together? And how are they going to fare in the playoffs? You're paying now $73 million to two bigs. That's been my concern all along. Ayton to the Thunder from Joey. Suns with KD from your boy. Celtics winning the title from Toxic. Rumble going Clippers. Lakers versus Nets from Rashard Lee. Here's what we have coming your way on NBA Now, live here on Chat Sports. I'm Chase Senior, producer Coop, behind the glass, making it all happen. Summer League standouts, including Chet Holmgren, as well as Keegan Murray. We'll do an NBA mailbag, and then we'll touch on the latest NBA news and rumors pertaining to the Golden State Warriors, Philadelphia 76ers, Dallas Mavericks. Then we'll get you caught up on Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and DeAndre Ayton. We will be going live exclusively on Rumble after our YouTube show wraps up, so make sure you stay tuned for that. 302 people watching live right now. If you're excited for the show, hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. I'm not starting the show until we get 60 likes. We're at 43 right now, and that's disrespectful. I know our fan base, you always represent, so represent right now by hitting that thumbs up icon and liking the video. 300 people watching live. We got to get to 100 likes momentarily. Smash that thumbs up icon, like the video, and let's start today's show right now. All right, here we go. You're watching NBA Now by Chat Sports. Chase Senior here with you. Appreciate all of you for tuning into today's show. And we start off with Chet Holmgren. Now, I was a little bit of a doubter going into the draft process because the body type, it was certainly concerning to me, and I'm petrified of Chet Holmgren not being able to add strength over time. Now, I think he's a polarizing prospect. I think he's one of the more fascinating prospects that we've ever evaluated in the history of the NBA draft because the skill set is certainly intriguing. The game is fine polished, and I think that he can do a multitude of things to impact a winning style of basketball, but how will he fare going up against some physically imposing big men in the NBA? Now, keep in mind, this is the NBA Summer League, and while he impressed in his debut against the Utah Jazz, he was slicing and dicing Taco Fall. How will he fare going up against an Anthony Davis, a Joel Embiid, or the Joker, even a guy like Andre Drummond who can hold his own on the low block? That is the big remaining question with Chet Holmgren. But last night, we saw a lot that proved why Chet Holmgren can be a special NBA talent. And social media was going crazy with all of the clips that Chet was able to put forward, and he got to play alongside Josh Giddey. That's just unfair for any team that goes up against these two potential future superstars. We know what Giddey can do. He can be a triple-double machine. Can Chet be an impact player and longtime All-Star as well? Last night it looked like it. 23 points. He was rebounding the basketball, holding his own down low, blocking some shots as well. And Chet Holmgren's game also really interesting because he's a 7-footer, who can hit the pull-up three, and he was even hitting Dirk Nowitzki fadeaways from the free throw line. So we're going to take a look at what makes Chet intriguing and then some of the red flags. So elite ball handling skills at 7'1", and on top of that has a really nice shooting touch. And he can put the ball on the floor, he can play down low, and what he lacks in size, I've always said this, whether it be defensively or offensively, he can make up for it with his insane length and that ridiculous wingspan. So defensively, what I mean by that, even if a guy is able to get position on Chet down low, he can make up for getting bodied down low with his long wingspan, put his arms up, and at least alter, block, or deflect shots. And then offensively, he can really get a shot off from anywhere on the floor. And if a guy at 7'1" is hitting pull-up tray balls right in your eye, then he's blowing by you with a nice little dribble, putting the ball on the deck and getting to the rim, and then throwing it down, then hitting that fadeaway. That's why this guy is such a fascinating prospect. The pull-up threes, rim protection ability, lastly, a very good basketball IQ. And that was on display playing alongside a guy in Josh Giddey, who's also a very savvy and smart basketball player. We'll take a look at the negatives coming up around the corner, but first, I want to hear from you. Grade Chet Holmgren's Summer League debut. As we continue to say, it was really impressive, and this is coming from a guy who had major concerns about Chet going into the NBA draft. A, B, C, D, or F? Let me know in the comment section. Now, for me, the body is still a major concern for some of the reasons that I talked about. And then you look at the frame, it's kind of hunched over a little bit, doesn't have the broadest shoulders, which Kevin Durant did have coming out of Texas. So you look at his legs as well, the skinny hips. How does he fare physically throughout the rigors of an 82-game regular season schedule if he takes a knee to the thigh, a knee to knee? How does he fare, right? And physically, is he able to hold up throughout the course of an entire NBA season? So for those reasons, I do have some concerns about Chet Holmgren. And you also look at the Chet kryptonites here. How does he fare going up against Rudy Gobert, Jusuf Nurkic, Nikola Jokic, Steven Adams, Jonas Valanciunas, Anthony Davis, Joel Embiid? These are bulkier centers. Now, what Chet and where Chet might have the advantage, he can stretch out to the three-point arc. He can lure these big guys out to the three-point arc, and he can either get a shot off from there, hit them with a little pump fake, put the ball on the floor, or just blow by them. And then defensively, again, they might be able to gain position on him on the low block, but he has this insane knack for blocking shots that really is special because last year at Gonzaga, around 4 blocks per game. Do you think Chet Holmgren will be a bust? By the way, we're just getting started on today's show. We'll talk about Keegan Murray and maybe Kyrie Irving getting traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves, but another question and another poll question where we want to take all of your responses. Is Chet going to be a bust? S for star, B for bust. Let me know once more. As for Keegan Murray, he's gotten off to a really good start in the NBA Summer League, and I want to see how some of these guys fare, by the way, in the Las Vegas Summer League. That's where the competition is going to ratchet up a little bit. But you take a look at what he did last night against the Los Angeles Lakers. 24 points per game, 7 rebounds, 3 steals, 9 of 16 from the floor. And this guy, I didn't like him going to the Kings where he did at number 4. If I was Sacramento, I would have gone Jaden Ivey, even though it was rumored that Ivey didn't want to go there. I would have went best player available. I would have rolled with the dice there and gone with the better guy, in my opinion, in Jaden Ivey, because I think you build with guards and wings right now, and I think Ivey can be a little bit of a less athletic John Morant, but Keegan Murray is a guy who's going to be in the league for a really long time. He's really agile. He's really athletic. The way he runs the floor as a big is also very, very impressive, and because of his all-around skill set, his basketball smarts, I think he's going to be able to be an impact player for a decade. And you watch him. I understand it's Summer League, but the Sacramento Kings so desperately need to get these picks right, and they need a guy like Keegan Murray, who at Iowa was asked to literally do everything, and he passed with flying colors. As for Ivey, he would have been my pick, but I do love Murray's game as a more athletic Al Horford. Better player down the road. Who is it going to be? We're just cooking up some great questions for you on today's program. J.I. for Jaden Ivey, K.M. for Keegan Murray. Get that comment section popping. Now, we've continued to break records on YouTube, but we also put our video content on Rumble as well. It's an awesome platform. Free and uncensored content over there. Sometimes on our live shows like today, we'll be going live on Rumble exclusively. So this is why you give us a follow at rumble.com/NBA now. And also, I don't have to worry about getting censored. I can throw out some curse words if I get emotional and really can't control myself. So give us a follow over there. We continue to go to the platforms that you use. It's rumble.com/NBA now. To round out today's segment, let's just do an NBA rumors roundup. I thought what Bill Simmons said on his podcast was really interesting. He thinks that with Minnesota trading for Rudy Gobert and paying about $73 million to two bigs in Karl Anthony Towns and Gobert, there's another move that has to happen, and he's throwing out the possibility of Kyrie maybe getting traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Obviously, the T-Wolves would have to get rid of D'Angelo Russell, which I think would be the smarter move because I don't think he's a good fit. If Minnesota, with new ownership, by the way, a new regime, new general manager, keep in mind that when new owners take over, they're desperate to make a splash. Can you imagine the current lineup with Kyrie? I certainly have some concerns about Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns playing on the floor together at the end of a game in crunch time, as well as in the playoffs. And now you're paying more than $70 million to two bigs in nowadays NBA that prioritizes wings, guards, floor spacing, and three-point shooting. It's certainly an unconventional approach, and sometimes unconventional wins. Also, aggressiveness wins. And I credit Minnesota for being aggressive. They would be even more aggressive if they land Kyrie in a package that would involve D'Lo. Now, they gave up a lot of picks to bring in Gobert, but can you imagine this lineup if Kyrie is able to play consistently? You sign Kyle Anderson to be your point forward and a guy who can impact games without scoring the basketball. Anthony Edwards is a budding star. Wouldn't surprise me if he's an MVP candidate over the next couple of years. And by now, we know what Cat can bring to the table, as well as Rudy Gobert. So if the T-Wolves were able to bring in Kyrie Irving, how many games do you think that Minnesota would win with that team that we just looked at? And by the way, their depth would be pretty solid, even though they parted ways with Jared Vanderbilt, a player who I did really like. We continue to move forward with our NBA rumors roundup. This coming from Shams Charania pertaining to Eric Bledsoe. So the Blazers do plan to waive him. He didn't play with Portland after he was traded there from the Los Angeles Clippers. He's entering his 13th year. Several teams expected to pursue Bledsoe as a free agent if he does get waived by Portland. And obviously when a guy like Shams Charania says that, all indications point to that indeed happening. You look at what he did a year ago. And again, he did not play with the Trailblazers. And they don't need him on this roster right now. Nearly 10 points per game, 4 assists, 42% from the floor, 31% from three. I was talking to producer Coop earlier, and he's like, you know what? My Mavericks, should they pursue Eric Bledsoe? And I said, you know what? I don't think I would. You might be able to get him on the cheap, but he's almost like a poor man's Russell Westbrook, where the game has passed him by to a certain degree. And look, Eric Bledsoe in his prime, it looked as though he was going to be a good player. And when he was playing way back in the day with Phoenix, it looked like he was going to be a very good guard for a long time, and then he never really evolved as a player. Now, as a backup, as a 7th or 8th man, as a guy who's in a more limited role, I think athletically he can still get by, but I certainly do have some concerns about him, and if I was running a team, I probably would not bring him in unless I was desperate for depth at that guard spot. If you made it this far in the video, I want you to type gang. If you're subscribed to us here at Chat Sports, I want you to type gang. We appreciate the gang for supporting everything that we do, and I hope you have a fantastic day or night. Okay, we'll give you some shout-outs here before we continue to keep it moving here on NBA Now by Chat Sports. Jonathan Taylor, what's up, y'all? What up, JT? Ernie, 82, Bledsoe to L.A. from the Bunker Hill boys. You talking about the Lakers? That would be an epic and classic Lakers move at this point of that franchise. Enrico Preston, he's tuned in from Vegas. LV in the house. Ricky Gass typing gang. 49ers Lakers for life. Jonathan Taylor. James and Tara Johnson. Jazzy G. Mitt Hill. Joshua Martin. Your boy JR. Lion Fighter. My Philadelphia brethren. Gang from Rumple. Chua Laura's back typing gang as well. Santos. Gang? What the F? Yeah, this is a gang here, man. A gang of soon to be, I think, 317,000 subs. If you hating, you ain't about that life. Sheesh Trent Baller giving us An A for Chet Holmgren's Summer League debut. You see that new question to my right here. Chet Summer League debut. He was really, really good. Let us know what you think about it. Miss me while I'm away. What's cracking, my boy? Yo, salute to you. Gang from David Sherman. Laker J, showing love to the Lakers. 49ers Lakers for life. Just put out a video on the 49ers report, by the way. What it means for Jimmy Garoppolo now that the Carolina Panthers traded for Jimmy G. Check that video out if you haven't already done so, or after. We're live here on NBA Now. Speaking of NBA Now, we'll be going live exclusively on Rumble after our YouTube show wraps up. And really fascinating stuff to get to on Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and Deandre Ayton. Make sure you follow us and you join us exclusively on Rumble by using that link down below. You might as well just plug in that link in a separate tab right now. Therefore, when we do go live exclusively on Rumble, you'll be able to pop right over there without putting in all that much work, and you'll be able to join us. It's rumble.com/NBA Now. We talking Dubs next? Talking Golden State Warriors next. Could they make a trade for Kelly Oubre Jr.? Some Summer League notes as well. It's Gui Santos, right? Gui Santos. We'll talk about him too, in addition to Moses Moody. That's what's cracking next on NBA Now by Chat Sports. What's good, Dub Nation? You're watching Golden State Warriors Today by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Sr. Another loaded show on the docket for you all today. But first, have to give a shout out to today's presenting sponsor, Aura, for making the show possible. The all-in-one digital safety tool that can keep you and your family safe. Nowadays, everything lives online. Millions of people per year get their identities stolen, their bank accounts hacked. You don't have to worry about that with Aura, and you can get a free 14-day trial if you plug in that link at the bottom of your screen. It's aura.com/Chat Sports. So we start off with some Warriors trade rumors and some Warriors trade candidates. I've been asked this a lot by some fans of the Golden State Warriors, the reigning NBA champions. Could Golden State pursue a reunion with Kelly Oubre Jr., who played with the Warriors 2 years ago and this past year played with the Charlotte Hornets? So you look at what Oubre has been able to do the last 2 years, and we'll also get to what he said recently about the Dubs, which was very Kyrie Irving-like. This past year with Charlotte put up pretty solid numbers, and I think the production has never been a problem with Kelly Oubre Jr. For me, it's been the lack of consistency, and I'm not sure he's a piece that you want on a team that plays a selfless style of basketball and a team brand of basketball. So last year with Charlotte, 26-plus minutes per game, 15 points per, 4 rebounds, 44% from the floor. My problem with Kelly Oubre Jr. takes a lot of shots and is very, very streaky. The inconsistency is a problem, only able to connect on 34.5% of his three-point attempts, and with the Warriors, actually played more minutes per game on a team that was down and played in the NBA play-in tournament. And for him, it was very frustrating for reasons that he talked about, which again, we'll get to coming up. Why I don't think it makes a lot of sense for Oubre to come back to the Bay, for there to be a reunion of sorts. He's a little bit expensive, and I frankly don't think he's a fit on this roster. You look at the contract right here. 2021-2022, he made $12 million. This upcoming year, it goes up to $12.5 million. Then he becomes an unrestricted free agent in 2023 at 28 years old. I think he's a good player. I think he's a solid complementary piece, a solid six-man type, but on a mediocre to bad team, not a team that's trying to win an NBA championship. Now, we're only getting started on Warriors Today. Don't go anywhere as this channel continues to pop. More than 100,000 viewers on a lot of videos recently. Subscribe if you hadn't already done so. More Oubre talk, and then Summer League notes also coming up around the bend. But first, I told you about our video views. I told you about our subscribers. Nearly 8,000 people now have subscribed to Golden State Warriors over the last 28 days. If you're a fan of this basketball team, do the right thing, do the smart thing by subscribing, by hitting that red sub button or plugging that link, youtube.com/WarriorsTV. It's incredible how well Warriors Today has been doing. We hit up our people at YouTube and we asked them, is there any Warriors channel in the world that's doing better than Warriors Today? They told us no. And we're about to catch the Lakers report with subscribers. Can we get the 40,000 by Friday, let's say? Let's do that. Then let's overtake the Lakers. It's a great rivalry on the basketball floor, a great rivalry here inside the walls of Chat Sports. Pivoting back to Oubre, not an efficient player, Too pricey for a bench piece, in my opinion, considering where the Warriors are at financially. Very cap-strapped, and I have to figure they're going to pay Jordan Poole as well as Andrew Wiggins, and I don't want to squander assets for Kelly Oubre Jr. either. He also said this back a couple months ago about his Warriors stint, and again, this reeks of something Kyrie would say. I felt like the universe was trying to put me in a box last year. It's something that always clashes because it's a big deal whenever I'm trying to be put into a box, because I can't be put in a box. A lot of box talk here. I'm going to continue to show you and prove to you why you shouldn't put me in a box. I think that just fueled me to work harder this summer and to come back next year and be a better all-around player. Warriors basketball is all about team ball. Warriors basketball is all about making sacrifices for the greater good of the team. If Kelly Oubre Jr. isn't willing to make sacrifices and he's complaining about his role and he's complaining about how he's used, then stay in Charlotte for a mediocre to bad basketball team. What the Warriors will continue to do, make it to the NBA Finals 6 times out of the last 8 years, and win 4 championships out of the last 8 years. This has been one of the most dynastic and impressive runs that we've ever seen in NBA history, and the Warriors have proved they don't need a player who doesn't want to be here in Kelly Oubre Jr. Also talking about Oubre, because I appreciated this comment from Danny Hilding, a loyal subscriber of the show, and this is why he subscribed, because we also interact with our viewers. Any chance Oubre can return to the role he was designed to play initially before the injuries to Steph and Clay ruined his run with us? The only reason people hated on Kelly Oubre is because we overused him and expected him to hit shots like Clay. But honestly, in my opinion, I think he can play a Gary Payton II role just as good, if not better. I think that Gary Payton II is a better player in terms of fit, okay? He's not the better player in terms of skill set, but Oubre needs to get into a rhythm to play his best basketball. GP2 just fits in seamlessly. Danny Hilding, though, I appreciate the take and I appreciate the question. Should the Warriors trade for Oubre? It is the poll question for today's show. Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Let me know and embrace debate. A lot of people like him. Some people don't. Let's see where you're at right now in the comment section. As I said off the top, Warriors Today presented to you by our fine friends at Aura. They're doing more to keep you and your family safe. And if you think about it right now, everything lives online. Our information, our bank accounts, and some precious information at that. Aura keeps your identity secure with extensive monitoring of all of your personal info. And what's great, you can keep your family safe, up to 5 people, but also you can start your free 14-day free trial if you use that link at the bottom of your screen. It's aura.com/chatsports. I'm going to put that link in the comment section as well as the description of this video. Make sure you use it at your disposal because limited time only. You'll only be able to use that deal. So we move forward now to some Summer League takeaways for Golden State. Kawhi Santos, really impressing so far in Summer League. Moses Moody, on the other hand, going through a little bit of a cold spell. You look at what Santos has been able to do in a couple of games in the California Classic, a second-round pick for the Dubs here in 2022. Everybody was focused on Patrick Baldwin Jr., who has not played yet. James Wiseman, by the way, also not playing. But Santos, he's been playing really good basketball, man. I'm not sure if he's going to make this roster, but in the future, if he can be a depth piece, then fine. 14 points per game, field goal makes, 4.3 on about 8.7 attempts, and he's been able to knock down about 40% of his three-point attempts. What he's been able to bring to the Warriors so far in the Summer League, size, shooting, passing ability, and awareness. And when I watch him, actually reminds me a little bit of a guy who got his start in the NBA coming out of Iowa State with the Warriors, and that was George Niang, who was let go by Golden State. And then he's really been able to carve out a role as a guy who offers good size, offers positional flexibility, and good three-point shooting, and pretty solid passing ability as well. That's what Santos can bring to the table. He's been playing pretty well. Moses Moody, on the other hand, 14th pick from the 2021 NBA draft, has not been playing all that well. 11 points per game, but you look at the shooting splits right here. 4 field goal makes on 13 field goal attempts. He's only shooting sub 31% from the field, a paltry 18% from long range. That's not good. So my Summer League notes here, Kawhi Santos, he's been number 2 in scoring among all players in the California Classic. Moses Moody struggling, and James Wiseman still not playing, but we talked about this the other day. Tom Downey did right here on the channel. He is expected to play at some point that would go a long way in just trying to figure out what the Warriors want to do at that center position. Start Kevon Looney, start James Wiseman. What is his future health going to be after missing all of year 2 and playing sparingly because of injury in year 1? Who are you most excited about in Summer League for the Dubs? Just give me a name or names in the comment section. For me, it's definitely James Wiseman. I want to see the dude play basketball, so let me know right now in the comment section. We'd be remiss if we didn't hit on the latest with Kevin Durant. According to Shams, these teams right here, the front runners for Kevin Durant. Who did he list? He listed the Golden State Warriors. And look, I know some people are fatigued by the KD talk to the reigning NBA champions, but when big heads are saying, like Shams, that the Warriors are interested, I think that's pretty notable. Phoenix Suns, Miami Heat, Toronto Raptors, the other teams checking in on one of the best offensive players that we've ever seen. Here's what Shams had to say at length. All conversations are open for teams to call, reach out, submit offers. Teams like the Suns, Heat, Raptors, Warriors, those are among the teams that are going to be at the forefront trying to pursue a Kevin Durant deal. And we'll continue to harp on this. We'll continue to talk about it. The Warriors, really among all teams in the NBA, outside of draft capital, can offer one of the best trade packages for KD to bring him back to the Bay for an epic reunion to take place. And according to Marcus Thompson, we've talked about this week as well, Warriors core players would be open to the idea. But then Rick Bucher said that Kevin Durant doesn't want to come to the Golden State Warriors. But you're looking at a potential package. James Wiseman, and these are all just pieces that can be thrown in the deal. I'm not saying all of them will be. James Wiseman, Andrew Wiggins, Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, Jordan Poole, some draft picks as well. Those are the types of pieces that could entice the Nets if they wanted to trade away KD back to the Warriors, and then they'd be able to reboot and rebuild that franchise. KD or no KD? The Warriors brass right now probably saying no KD. Why? They won a 4th NBA championship in 8 years without KD. Do you want him? Do you not? Type KD or no KD. No KD. No can do either. That would certainly work in the comment section right now. And as always, thanks for supporting the show. Okay, we'll give you some shout outs here. Coming up a little bit later, we'll be doing another mailbag. Use the hashtag NBA or Super Chat to get involved. What's up, Producer Coop?
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Would you trade Draymond for KD?
Ooh, no, I wouldn't. He's the heart.
I don't know.
He's the heart of the team. Because also for the Nets, like, why would they want to rebuild with KD or with Draymond? It really wouldn't make a lot of sense by trading away KD. So the consensus right now, no KD. David Burke, he likes Shaedon Sharpe. I like him too.
I think you're all lying. You all want KD on your team.
Who wouldn't want KD? You know, he's a special player who is one of one. A skill set that we really haven't seen before. Baller Boy, G Money, I subscribe. Thank you, my guy. Appreciate that. Yeah, everybody's saying pretty much no KD. Baller Boy said KD. As far as our poll question for today's show, will Chet Holmgren be a good NBA player? Nearly 600 votes. Seeps and Cooper loving this. Yes, 83%, 17% no. So the people are right in line with Patrick as well as Coop. What we're talking about next, we're talking about the Dallas Mavericks. So let's get to it right now on NBA Now. A lot of Mavericks news and rumors to get to on today's show. I am Harrison Graham without the beard. Just kidding. I'm not Harrison Graham. He's on vacation with his lovely wife, so I'll be filling in over the next couple of weeks as he has deserved very good vacation time. So let's touch on all of the latest Mavericks news and rumors. We start off with Ben Simmons. By the way, subscribe if you miss Harrison Graham and you don't like me, because some of you might hate on me for not being Harrison. He's done a great job growing this channel, as has producer Coop, who's a diehard Mavs fan as well. So Bleacher Report suggested a Ben Simmons to the Dallas Mavericks trade. And this comes on the heels of a lot of potential movement taking place in the NBA. Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, maybe DeAndre Ayton after Rudy Gobert had gotten traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves. We know that KD asked for a trade. So that could really start the Brooklyn Nets deciding to really just start over and tear that franchise down to the ground and trade away a player like Ben Simmons. I'll also throw this wrinkle out there. If the Nets wanted to trade KD to Miami, we know that that's one of his preferred destinations. They would not be able to get Bam Adebayo back in the deal because in the NBA, there is a rule where you can't have two players who signed a max contract while on their rookie deals. Ben Simmons did, so too did Bam Adebayo. So if the Nets wanted to trade KD to Miami and get a really good package back, they'd have to probably trade away Ben Simmons as well in order to bring in Bam Adebayo, who I would imagine would be one of the headliners of that deal. As for the Simmons deal with the Dallas Mavericks, here it is. Mavericks would receive Simmons, who can play point guard, especially in transition. Half court, he's a little bit of a liability. What I would like to see the Mavericks do, play Ben Simmons in that Draymond Green role. I think that's ideal playing alongside Luka Doncic. The Nets would receive Spencer Dinwiddie, Maxi Kleber, and first-round picks in 2025 as well as 2027. There would be protections on those deals. Now, as far as Ben Simmons goes, we're talking about a multi-time All-Star. We're talking about one of the best defensive players in the NBA who has been named an All-NBA defender. He's a really special guy with positional versatility and elite passing ability, especially considering his size at 6'10". Prior to the no-show against the Atlanta Hawks, where he lost his confidence, he was certainly mentally rattled in between the ears, couldn't hit free throws, and just didn't shoot the basketball, and wanted no parts of actually being on the floor at the end of the game for a playoff series or in a playoff game. This guy was a really unique talent, and if he were to play that Draymond Green type of role, I think that Ben Simmons would be able to be a nice piece alongside Luka Doncic. If Ben Simmons is also willing to be the roller with Luka, throw down some alley-oops, and then off the roll actions, hit some of the three-point artists on this team, then I think the Mavericks would have a nice little piece offensively. Now, of course, you have to factor in that Ben Simmons is on one of those max deals. The Mavs would have, with Simmons, one of the best PNR actions in the game. So for those reasons, it's somewhat enticing. But should the Mavs take on Ben Simmons and him being the head case that he is? That's where some of the concerns come to the forefront, and him just never showing the want to improve as an offensive player. You look at a guy like Luka Doncic, every year that he's been in the league, he's gotten progressively better and better and better. You look back at Ben Simmons in the Las Vegas Summer League as a rookie, he was hitting turnaround J's. He was hitting baseline jumpers, knocking down some elbow jump shots, hitting three-pointers and taking them. Ever since then, his offensive game has literally gotten worse. And how would Luka feel looking at a guy with all this talent, really tantalizing ability, and he'd be like, you know what? I put in the necessary work, lacking elite athleticism, to add all of these array of moves to my toolbox, and Ben Simmons, you've been content with being a very good player but not a great player? Yeah, I don't want to play alongside a guy like that, on top of the fact that he is a little mentally fickle. So I want to hear from you in the comment section right now. MFFLs, yeah, I know what's good. Would you trade for Ben Simmons? Give me a T for trade or a P for pass. Get those votes in and be the general manager in Nico Harrison right now. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel while you're down there. It's youtube.com/MavsTV, or even easier, just hit that red subscribe button if you're watching on Dallas Mavericks Today. Our offseason coverage has been absolutely awesome, from the NBA draft to free agency, now in the NBA Summer League. We're going to keep you in the know with everything going down with this basketball team, whether it's me or Harrison or somebody else here at Chat Sports. So do the right thing. Hit that sub button. Let's get to 20,000 subs as soon as possible. To peak social media NBA trade rumors now. Does Reggie Bullock want out of Dallas after having a pretty impressive back half of the season, after he got off to a disastrous start after signing that deal in free agency? And is he going to get traded to the Philadelphia 76ers? So, as I alluded to just moments ago, this is peak social media NBA trade rumors, because Bullock on his IG story reshared what somebody said with these two pictures right here that we're filtering through, that Bullock told this guy that he's going to get traded to the Sixers, he's going to be a member of Philadelphia, and he's going to get traded. Now, I don't think it would be smart for the Mavericks to trade away a guy who is a pretty solid 3-and-D player, who after that aforementioned slow start finished the year really strong and had a couple of really good playoff performances. Some no-shows for sure, but the averages always play out for a guy with a lot of three-point volume. As for some of the pieces that could be included in a Bullock trade, could I interest you in Matisse Thybulle? All-NBA defender 2 times out of the last 3 years going to Dallas, maybe even Tobias Harris. In order for that to happen, it'd probably have to be Bullock combined with any number of these players. Dwight Powell, Davis Bertans, Tim Hardaway Jr. I'll also throw in Maxi Kleber there as well as a potential backup for Joel Embiid. But these are the trade pieces that could be involved in a Reggie Bullock deal. As for what Bullock had to say on social media, because everybody's like, yo, Bullock's getting dealt to Philadelphia, right? I can't post my homies. This is wild, basically is what he said. Bad wording on the tweet by Bullock. But yeah, that's basically what it is from his standpoint. He's like, yo, I'm kicking it with the homies. I'm kicking it with the fellas. And they posted me on their IG story. And, you know, it's really awkward. If you're with your really good friends, they tag you on an IG story and you don't repost it. Sometimes I tag my boys, and if they don't repost it, I'm like, why aren't you reposting it, man? You can't be scared here on these IG streets. What's good? For Bullock, he was just trying to show some love to his guys. If you want to keep Bullock in Dallas, then type Bull in the comment section right now. We're going to go back and see how many people type Bull to gauge where the audience is at. Do that right now in the comment section. To another target for the Mavericks in free agency, Eric Bledsoe. Now, right now, he's on the Portland Trail Blazers, but according to Shams Charania, it looks as though they are going to let him go and they are going to waive him. As part of a deal at the NBA trade deadline, Bledsoe was dealt to Portland really as a salary matcher in that deal that involved Norm Powell as well as Robert Covington. And Bledsoe never actually played for the Blazers, and right now, they don't really have a need for him. And should the Mavericks have a need for him? Should they have a want for Eric Bledsoe, who I kind of describe as a poor man's Russell Westbrook for a moment there back several years ago? Looked as though he was going to be a solid player and then kind of flatlined because the game passed him by and he never really evolved. As for what he did last year with the Clippers, nearly 10 points per game, 4 assists, playing alongside Paul George when he was healthy. 42% from the field, and then 31% from 3. He has had multiple opportunities to prove that he can get paid, that he could be a solid player, whether it be with the Milwaukee Bucks, Los Angeles Clippers. Those are 2 of the more recent teams, and he's really never gotten to that point where, you know, it looked as though he was heading in that really good range of being one of the league's best point guards, and then he kind of just flatlined, like I said. Now, if you don't want to go after a guy like Bledsoe, who maybe as an 8th man coming in off the bench, if he's able to be in more of a minimized role that could allow him to be a better and more efficient player, you can take a look at some of these other guards right here. I mean, Colin Sexton, Dennis Schroeder, a reunion with Dennis Smith Jr., DJ Augustine, and then Campazzo, who I actually thought was pretty good for the Denver Nuggets, a scrappy international point guard, could be somewhat intriguing. He played with Luka at Real Madrid, right? So Campazzo is honestly maybe one of my favorite options on this list outside of Colin Sexton. I have said time and time again, all in on Sexton. You sign a guy like that to $20 million, and that's his deal for a dude is going to give you about 24 points per game and a pretty solid fit next to Luka. I'd be putting my eggs in that basket trying to make that deal happen. If not, maybe you settle on those 2nd and 3rd, 4th, and 5th level point guards with some of the other players on this list. I know Mavs fans are high on Dennis Smith Jr., but last year with Portland, he looked so clearly washed. Name a guard the Mavs should acquire. It can be any of the guys who we talked about on today's show. If you want to throw Ben Simmons in that category as a guard because he can run a little point, although I think he's better hovering around in that dunker spot, you can list Ben Simmons or another one of those names or somebody who we haven't mentioned. Either way, just let us know in the comment section, and sometimes that helps us fuel future shows here on Mavericks Today. Another reminder, we'll be going live exclusively on Rumble after our YouTube show wraps up. Make sure you subscribe and join us. We'll be talking about the latest with Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and DeAndre Ayton. So make sure you stay tuned. Separate browser, follow us, rumble.com/NBA now. Then when we shut off our YouTube stream, we'll go live exclusively on the Rumble app. We're also going to be doing a mailbag on NBA Now. A couple ways for you to get involved and for you to get your questions answered. Use the hashtag NBA, better yet, super chat us. No super chats in just yet. Throughout free agency, we've stacked up a lot of super chats. We appreciate all those donations. But if you want us to guarantee that your question gets answered, you super chat us, and we will be able to do that for you. If not, just use the hashtag NBA. It allows producer Coop to filter throughout all of these questions, and he'll be able to see those questions and pop them up on the screen. Nah, this will just be after the intro. So hashtag NBA Super Chat. We'll get to that mailbag after we talk about the Philadelphia 76ers. Some important stuff to get there. Free agency grades, latest on Kyrie Irving, some summer league takeaways. So we'll do that right now, talk about the Sixers. Then we'll talk all of your questions and take all of your questions. So in the meantime, all of you watching right now, as we approach 1,000 people tuned in live, make sure you get those questions in. Hashtag NBA or super chat us. Therefore, when that mailbag comes around right after this segment, we'll be locked and loaded with questions in the chamber. Welcome into Philadelphia 76ers Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Senior. We have another loaded show coming your way. Here's what we're talking about. We're going to do Sixers free agency grades as they've made a couple of really intriguing moves over the last weekend change. Summer League is also underway, and Paul Reed balled out to kick off Summer League for Philadelphia. Also, Shams Charania did say the other day the Sixers showing interest in Kyrie Irving. Are they still interested, and are there conflicting reports? We'll get to Kyrie on the back end of the show. But we start off with some Sixers free agency grades. And we're going to go player by player here and also talk about DeAnthony Melton, who was not a free agent acquisition. He was the trade made on NBA draft night, but I think he's huge in what the Sixers have been able to accomplish this offseason. So we start off with PJ Tucker. I'm going to give it a B grade. Signed a 3-year, $33 million contract that is fully guaranteed. And at 37, that's my concern with PJ Tucker. He's played a lot over the last couple of years. And how is he going to be able to age given his game is somewhat predicated on physicality and going up against some of the best wings in the league? Could he really just defy father time and be a unique body type who's able to play really good ball at the age of 40? Maybe. But a fully guaranteed contract worth more than $10 million per year, a little bit of a concern. What I do like about Tucker coming to the city of brotherly love, brings much needed toughness to a team that's lacked it. He's a culture builder for a team that needs to build on the current culture. He can shoot the three ball and space the floor and wait openly for a James Harden pass or Joel Embiid out of the double team. He's also a high-level defender. Never scared to defend some of the most elite wings in the league, whether it be Kawhi Leonard when he's healthy, Jason Tatum in the playoffs, or some of the other top-tier wings in the National Basketball Association. You look at what PJ Tucker did last year, and a lot of Sixers fans not really high on bringing him in because he's older and he's somewhat expensive. And you look at the numbers as well, and they're like, you know what? He doesn't really do all that much to impact a basketball game. If that's the case, and if that's your opinion, you're just box score hunting. This guy puts his fingerprints on the game in a variety of ways, in a Draymond Green type of way. Doesn't blow you away with his offensive production, 7.5 points per game, but is an unbelievable rebounder, plays so much larger than what his size is at 6'4", nearly a steal per game. He'll give you a block, and if he's knocking down about 41.5% of his three-point attempts and playing high-level defense, then that deal will be worth it. Again, my big concern here, how does PJ Tucker age? So what do you think of the Tucker signing? Some people love it. Some people don't like it. Let me know in the comment section, fielding your responses as always. And honestly, this is really valuable for what we do because I love going back to the comment section to see what all of you say. Give me an L for like, D for dislike. Get that comment section flowing. We move forward with our grades here. Daniel House, I'm giving it a B grade. It doesn't really move the needle all that much. Signed a 2-year deal, $8.5 million. That too, fully guaranteed. And Daryl Morey continues to bring the Houston Rockets to Philadelphia. PJ Tucker, former Rocket. We know James Harden, a former Rocket. Daniel House, a former Rocket as well. So signed a 2-year deal, $8.5 million. It's fully guaranteed for a guy who gives you some pretty solid size. He can knock down some three-pointers, really good athleticism. He can run the floor in transition and throw down some dunks. He can also really just stretch the floor to a certain degree. And he is a pretty solid player. And I think that if he gives you what he gave you in Houston when he was there from 2018 to 2021, then it's a pretty solid signing for Philadelphia. average at that point nearly 10 points per game. He can put his hands in passing lanes, he can block some shots, and he can also defend the wing. 43% shooter during that span, playing alongside James Harden, knocked down about 37% of his shots from beyond the arc. Another free agent acquisition for Philadelphia, Trevelin Queen. I'm giving this a B grade as well. I don't even know if he's going to make the roster. I think it's way too harsh to give it a C, D, or an F. But the story here is something that Philadelphia can rally around, given it's a blue-collar city and an underdog city. From no college offers at all to this past year, G League MVP and G League Finals MVP. Pretty impressive. I want to see him play in the NBA Summer League. Did not play in the opener last night on Tuesday. Hopefully he gets on the floor so that we can see what he can do. I also want to talk about De'Anthony Melton. Now, am I cheating a little bit calling this free agency grades and this was a trade that was made on NBA draft night? Maybe. But what happens in free agency also pertains to what goes down and transpires throughout the offseason. De'Anthony Melton, A grade. Sixers traded number 23, as well as Danny Green. In the process, you cleared up $10 million off your salary this upcoming year for a guy who's going to be making around $8 million. So you save a couple of mil in bringing in De'Anthony Melton. This guy's a really good player. He fell under the radar in Memphis, but when Ja Morant was out, even when Ja Morant was in the lineup, De'Anthony Melton fared really well and played some impressive basketball. And with an increased role with the Sixers, I think that he's really going to tap into his fullest potential. Has dog mentality. Again, that's been a theme for Philadelphia throughout this offseason. They brought in PJ Tucker, dog. De'Anthony Melton, dog. A bench scorer and playmaker who can also start a handful of games. He's done that and has experience doing that throughout his career. He can hit the three, play some defense, improves the depth and wing defense, but also has some wiggle and can put the ball on the floor. What he's done the last 2 years, pretty impressive production. I mean, the per 36 minutes would be very solid, especially if he gets more minutes per game. And on a Sixers roster that needs depth and playmaking for that second unit, he might be able to play 25 to 30 minutes per game. You look at the numbers here, especially last year and the year before that, I'm looking at the shooting splits. 2 years ago, nearly 44%, 41% from long range, and then this past year, 40%, 37% from long range, and the points per game going up as the minutes went up as well, as did the three-point attempts, with the numbers going down slightly. But if you're hitting about 37% of your three-point shots, that right there, a little bit above league average, especially with a lot of volume there. So before we get to Summer League, grade the Sixers offseason so far. In total, I'm giving them a B. What do you think? A, B, C, D, or F? And while you're down there, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We continue to grow 76ers now, approaching 8,000 subs right now. 7,370 people are subscribed to the channel. More than 1,000 people over the last month or so because our coverage has been downright awesome. YouTube.com/76ers TV. Join the party. Join the movement. To some Summer League takeaways. Sixers Summer League getting underway back on Tuesday night, and Paul Reed played good basketball. And as of right now, he's a backup center for Joel Embiid. I thought at times he played pretty well throughout the playoffs. For him, it all comes down to harnessing that energy. But against the Grizzlies, 20 points per game, 15 boards, 4 steals. He can be a very good defender coming in off the bench, 8 of 15 from the floor. And B-Ball Paul, able to hit a couple of three-pointers as well. He adds that to his arsenal. He could be a dangerous player. There's no question about that. As of now, he is Joel Embiid's backup. And when I watch B-Ball Paul, whether it be throughout the G League tenure, last year with Philadelphia, in the Summer League last night, love the hustle. He just needs to harness it a little bit. I mean, he goes on the floor and within 5 minutes, he has 3 fouls already. I mean, honestly, that has happened at times. And I love him being active. I love his length. He just needs to control it a little bit because if he's a backup center or if Embiid is out of the lineup, you run some of those small ball lineups, Paul Reed could play really good hoop, especially if he's knocking down that corner three. Against Toronto, he was able to knock down one of those threes. And on a two-man action, him going to the rim off an alley-oop, I'm not going to say he's going to be a Robert Williams type of player, but he does have that type of athleticism. As for Jaden Springer, first-round pick from 2 years ago, he was really missing in the Summer League last year, looked a little bit timid. He wasn't last night. 15 points, 4 of 12 from the floor, 0 of 2 from 3. I've always had some concerns about his burst as well as his three-point shot. Has to certainly develop that. Do you watch the Summer League? I do, because I'm a basketball nerd and I want to see what these young players can do for Philly. I think back to Ben Simmons playing in Las Vegas Summer League. Remember that? That was a lot of fun. He was hitting jump shots, knocking down threes, and we're thinking we have the next LeBron James, and then from there, he just got worse offensively. Y for yes, or an N for no. Real quick, we'll get you caught up on the latest rumors with Kyrie Irving. Is he going to get traded to the Sixers? Are the Sixers interested in him? Jake Fisher of Bleacher Report saying no. Irving's status, he said, is of course connected to Durant's trade outcome as well, but his number of possible outcomes seems far fewer than Ayton's. While the Mavericks and Sixers have been discussed as theoretical destinations for Irving, league sources contacted by Bleacher Report have strongly discounted Dallas and Philadelphia's interest in the all-star guard. So that right there, the latest on Kyrie. I've said this all along. It's always been unrealistic. I don't really want the Sixers to pursue Kyrie Irving. I don't think it makes a lot of sense. You give up one of your valuable assets for a guy who hasn't been consistently available and somewhat flaky and a little bit weird. I wouldn't do that if I'm Philadelphia. You move forward and you want to see continued growth and development from Tyrese Maxey, who's a budding star in this league. You don't want to see that get handicapped and handcuffed by a player like Kyrie, who would take offensive opportunities away from Tyrese Maxey. Before we get out of here, subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/76erstv. Let's ride. To round out our show here on YouTube, we're going to be doing a mailbag. Use the hashtag NBA, better yet, super chat us, for you to get your questions answered. I did see a super chat come in, so Coop, we'll start off the mailbag with that. It came from Merle Garrett, who super chatted us yesterday as well, asking about the Wizards. Appreciate that. We'll get to that super chat to start off this mailbag. We'll be going live exclusively on Rumble as well after our mailbag wraps up. But in the meantime, get those questions in. Hashtag NBA, better yet, super chat us for you to get your questions answered. Before we start the mailbag, just going to take a sip of water. I've been talking for about an hour straight right now, so just need to hydrate and lather up the pipes. Yeah, might as well. Going to take a look at some people in the comment section right now. Give you some shout outs. Pharaoh, Jordan Dean, B Taco, Santos, FL Underdoggy, Composer Connor 28, getting that question in. Carger. Let's see, who else is here? SM, Chat Sports is killing it with the free agency content. Many thanks right there. B+ Toughness from Adgrin. Mateel, giving the Sixers a B+ in free agency. Appreciate that. Continue to get those questions in for this upcoming mailbag. We good to go? Let's answer your questions right now. Coming your way on NBA Now, a news and rumors mailbag where we take all of your questions from our loyal subscribers. This is NBA Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Sr. NBA free agency continues to roll on. Summer League is really starting to pick up steam. There's some trade rumors out there as well. We're taking all of your questions on the show today. We start off this mailbag with this question coming in from Merle Garrett. It's a $2 super chat. Do the Washington Wizards have a top duo in the East? No. Because who is the other element of the duo alongside Bradley Beal? Is it Johnny Davis? Is it Kristaps Porzingis? No, they're not one of the top duos in the Eastern Conference. I did find it pretty interesting that Bradley Beal has a no-trade clause, and it is a full no-trade clause. The only player in the NBA currently to have that, and he's the 10th player in the history of the NBA to have a full no-trade clause. So Beal opting out. He signed that big extension. Now he's one of the highest paid players in the NBA. And for a guy who is one of the best scorers in the NBA, we'll see if that translates to wins for Washington in the nation's capital. In years previous, it has not. Evan Hinders next up on the show. The Magic trade multiple first-round picks for Brandon Ingram. They didn't address wing in the NBA draft. They decided to go with Paolo Banchero. And I thought they should have gone Jabari Smith because that was the player that they needed. And one of the best case scenarios for Jabari Smith, he ends up being a Brandon Ingram type of player. He's a little bit more strong as compared to Ingram. He has more muscle on his frame. But Jabari Smith is intriguing because he's 6'10", pogo sticks for legs, elite athlete, very good defender, needs to develop his dribble, but he can really get a shot off from anywhere on the floor. And Brandon Ingram, kind of a nice little comp there. So do you trade away multiple first-round picks for Brandon Ingram? Orlando might want to do it. New Orleans would never do that because Brandon Ingram is a star right now. Let's take a look at this question from Noah. Do the Trailblazers have a shot at the playoffs? For sure. For sure. If Damian Lillard is healthy, I actually like the workings of that roster. They've been so bad defensively at those wing spots in years previous, especially when it comes time for the NBA playoffs. You address that with one of the best wing defenders in the NBA, and Gary Payton II, who led the NBA in steals per 36 minutes. So he bulks up your defensive resume there for Portland. And then bringing in Jeremy Grant, not only does that help you offensively, really helps you defensively on that end too. Because, look, let's face it, Damian Lillard is not the best defensive player. In fact, he's somewhat of a liability. But if you make up for it with Jeremy Grant as well as Gary Payton II, that's pretty solid depth right there defensively. SM, one of our loyal subscribers with the fresh OBJ pick, did Orlando screw up by not drafting Chet Holmgren? I know people are just raving about what Holmgren has been able to do in the NBA Summer League, and for sure, he's been impressive, man. The shot-making ability, putting the ball on the floor, a pull-up three at 7-1, the defensive potential and rim protection, certainly intriguing as well. But let's see what Paolo Banchero is able to do throughout the NBA Summer League. I think that he can be a really solid player. My pro comp for Banchero, it was Chris Webber. By the way, another super chat that came in. We'll get to that right around the corner. Speaking of Chet Holmgren, will Chet be a bust? S for star, B for bust. He looked like a star in the NBA Summer League, but keep in mind, in his debut, I mean, he was given the work to Taco Fall. It's Taco Fall. He was also playing well against Kofi Coburn as well out of Illinois. Let me know what you think about Chet Holmgren. And it is Coburn. It's not pronounced how it's spelled. The real ones know. Tobes, S, $2 super chat nearly in European currency. Could OKC trade 10 picks for KD or 15 for KD and Kyrie? That would be insane. 10 picks, 15 picks to basically mortgage all of their draft capital for basically ever because you can't trade picks in consecutive drafts. I'm not even sure this would be allowed, but it goes to show you the value and what Kevin Durant could get back. You look at what Rudy Gobert got back and DeJounte Murray in those respective deals. DeJounte Murray got 3 first-round picks. Can you imagine what KD fetches in a trade? Appreciate that super chat there. Did you say it's pounds? If it's in pounds, I've been hearing a lot of pounds talk on Peaky Blinders. So that's good stuff right there. Composer Connor, 28. Best players from the G League Ignite this year. From this past year, Jane Hardy really led that crew. Gene Montero, another player. Marion Beauchamp, another player from the G League Ignite this past year. As for what that roster is going to look like in 2022, 2023, they haven't finalized that because the NBA draft just happened. TJ, any possibility Durant and Kyrie Irving don't get traded? I think so. It'd be a power play by Brooklyn. But look, Kevin Durant last offseason signed a contract extension. Kyrie Irving opted in to his deal. So do the Nets say, you know what? Screw player empowerment. Screw KD without his trade clause trying to control where he goes. We don't care about the flake that is Kyrie Irving, right? We're going to make you guys come back. And if you want to sit out the entire season, fine. We're not going to give in and fold to NBA player empowerment. We're going to hold on to you. We're going to force you to play because KD, you just signed that contract extension. So I think there is a chance that Durant and Kyrie don't get traded and they come back to the Nets. And look, they have made win-now moves in free agency. It's reeked of win-now moves. Bringing back Nick Claxton, signing TJ Warren, making a trade for Royce O'Neal. Those are moves that you make to surround Durant as well as Kyrie. Is it a power play by Durant to get Kyrie extended long term? I don't think you can rule that out either. If you want to get a dope NBA hat, get swagged up and swagged out, you can do so. Plug in that link at the bottom of your screen. Head to chatsports.com/NBA hats. There are hats available for every single team in the NBA. Right now, 30 teams. In the future, could be 32 with a team in Las Vegas as well as Seattle. But those hats not available right now because those teams aren't real. You know what teams are real? the hats that we're showing you right now and all 30 teams in the NBA. Get your hat today. You can wear it in the winter, summer, anytime, any day, depending on what weather. It really doesn't matter. Chatsports.com/NBA hats. That link available for you in the comment section in the description. Very good deals for all of you. Galatita de Chocolate. Do the Cavs win a ring in the next 3 years? That's pretty lofty. I think that's a little bit of a stretch. Can we say that the Cavaliers have one of the best young rosters in the NBA? For sure. Last year, before injuries really hurt them, they got off to a roaring start, and then Ricky Rubio goes down with that torn ACL. A couple other injuries happened, and that's what slid them in the Eastern Conference. That's what put them in the NBA play-in tournament, and they didn't make the NBA playoffs. But the young core, it's a really good one. I mean, Isaac Okoro is a player who I really like as a depth piece. And then, of course, they're led by the All-Star and Darius Garland. Evan Mobley, I think, has superstar written all over him. He's like a poor man's Giannis. You still have Lauri Markkanen. You have Jarrett Allen coming off the best year of his career. The contract that he signed 2 off seasons ago, one of the better value deals in the NBA if he continues to produce. So what the Cavs have been able to do, really like it. They bring back Rubio in free agency, and JB Bickerstaff has done a really good job. CP Productions, do the Mavs just need a good wing backup? Oh, okay. Hold on, let me start over. Do the Mavs just need a good wing backup to consider it a good offseason? P.S. I think Hardaway can produce some production after losing Brunson. Yeah, I mean, look, you have Reggie Bullock who can kind of fulfill that 3-and-D type of hybrid role. So I don't know if you need a wing. I think you might need a point guard. Are you comfortable with having Spencer Dinwiddie as your point guard? That's really my question that I would have for you. I'm not sure I would be. I think he's great in the role that he was in last year, coming in off the bench in a Game 7, dropping a 30-piece nugget. Like Spencer Dinwiddie in that type of role is great, but he's also very, very inconsistent. Now, the Mavs did have a lot of success, and they were able to make it to the Western Conference Finals without Tim Hardaway Jr., who is a hyper scorer and can help fill the void of losing that scoring production from Brunson. But that's a really, really tough player to replace. Name a guard with that you think the Mavs should acquire. Colin Sexton can be thrown into that category. Dennis Smith Jr., Ben Simmons maybe. If you want him to play the guard spot, let me know right now. G, you are a G. Who would replace Tucker in Miami? I don't really think they need to replace PJ Tucker. This is a roster that always prioritizes player development. Nikola Jovic showed some flashes in the NBA Summer League. He's going to be a player who's going to crack the roster. He's not going to play the role of PJ Tucker, but could he get minutes as a rookie, as a guy who's played in a lot of big games for Mega overseas? He's used to raucous environments. Yeah, I think he can crack that roster. Who replaces Tucker? He's a tough guy to replace because he's a very unique player, but the Miami Heat, they plug and play all the time and develop guys like no other. Businessman, last question in this sack. Can the Knicks still get KD or Kyrie with their lackluster assets? They don't have lackluster assets. The Knicks have really good assets. They have premium draft picks, and they do have players that they could trade away. Now, it might not be the players that you would want to trade away. R.J. Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, O.J. Toppin. Those are difficult decisions to make, but if you're bringing in KD and Kyrie, is it worth it if you have an opportunity to compete for an NBA championship? Businessman, you got to think about it in a business approach. You're going to have to give up assets in order to get back to very special players, and for KD, one of the best players of all time. Thanks to all of you for tuning into our mailbag. If you want to be included in our mailbags and you want your questions answered, got to subscribe to the channel. While you do that, turn on those notifications. Therefore, when we do go live, which is when we accumulate these questions for these sacks, you'll be able to join us. YouTube.com/ChatSportsTV. Type sack in the comments section. Okay, we're going to be going live exclusively on Rumble here in just a few moments. Subscribe and join us. Rumble.com/NBA now. Sack is a great word. It really is. Francis, premium draft picks. You're saying LMAO? Like, they do have really good draft picks. They have a lot in the future. Oliver, will the Bucks win another championship as currently constructed with Chris, Drew, and Giannis? They're going to be one of the favorites to win the championship this upcoming year. Luke Byrne, do you think the Mavs will get a TPE for Brunson Stein has announced a delay to the Knicks announcement. It could honestly be a sign and trade. There's been some chatter about that. That's coming from Mark Stein, I believe, but also some New York media figures had that as well, so that the Mavericks could get some assets back. Maybe it's Evan Fournier. I wouldn't hate that for a guy playing alongside Luka Doncic. What'd you say? Yeah, don't Google Fournier. Just Google Evan Fournier. It'll take you to some dark places on the internet. Okay, appreciate all of you who have been able to tune in on our YouTube show. We're going to go live exclusively on Rumble momentarily, rumble.com/NBA now. Just open up a separate tab, plug in that link, join us over there because we're talking about some big subject matters. Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, DeAndre Ayton, that's coming up right now on the Rumble side of things. So make sure you join us over there. I already have the separate tab pulled up because I'm doing my job and I'm a great employee. Already 10 people tuned in on Rumble. Get the comment section going there. More people continuing to pile in. Rumble.com/NBA now. For those of you who tuned in on YouTube all throughout the afternoon, appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow with another live show here on YouTube as well as Rumble. But for now, we're getting ready to rumble on the Rumble app.